Alright, freaking YouTube. I uploaded birth story part 2 and 3 today, and they were both too long, and YouTube booted them out. So I'm gonna have to do those again right now and redo them because I don't want to edit them because my laptop's broken. Anyway. Okay, so we got home, we packed a bag, we got the prescription for Ambien. Joshua was able to sleep, I was not. So during the night while he was sleeping and I was packing a bag for the next day, I made a decision that the last thing that I could give Harper, was a peaceful entry into the world. That I would not scream and yell, that I would not curse, that I would not holler out, that it would be peaceful. That was the last thing that I deserved, that I could give my daughter, and that she deserved, was a peaceful entry and exit into the world. So we got to the hospital, and our two amazing nurses that had taught our classes that we'd been to, epidural class and labor and delivery class, were there, and they hugged on us and they cried with us, and they are amazing, and I can't tell you how their support helped me through those 2 amazingly hard days. They are incredible women. Anyway, and our other 2 nurses were great too, but those were the ones who were standing there when we got there. We got there, they, seems like we waited around for a long time, but I guess it probably wasn't. They did a sonogram, and it was really important to me not to see it. Joshua happened to be down getting lunch, I think, when they did it, but they had to confirm fetal demise before they would start induction, which is fine. But I didn't want to see that because there will be other babies, and I never want to be afraid to look at that screen. So my friend Paula, who was there with us, they kept the screen over here. Paula was over here holding my hands, talking me through. We talked about everything but what was happening. And then they left. And then came my doctor, and he induced with Cytotec. There are 2 popular ways to induce chemically, and one is Cytotec and one is Pitocin. And we wanted to avoid Pitocin just because of the side effects that Pitocin can have. Cytotec is supposed to just be gentler, and it like softens your cervix and stuff, and Pitocin just kind of like, I don't know, rips you open. So, well, I hope that's not the screenshot. Anyway, so they insert a pill, this Cytotec, into your cervix. So, and they checked for dilation, and of course I was at a 0 because I'm 33 weeks and you're not supposed to be dilated at 33 weeks. And the contraction monitor on when you get Cytotec, I'm trying to hurry and sound like bumbling over my words, but when you get Cytotec, you have to lay flat and still for an hour for it to do its job, for it to dissolve in your cervix. So that first time I did that, then I got up, I walked, I started having contractions. They had the contraction monitor on and off me the whole time. We weren't watching for infant peril or distress, so contraction monitor was not an important thing for us to really keep track of. We just kind of did it to see if we were making any progress. I was able to walk through them, breathe through them. Joshua rubbed my back through them. I took a shower, they went away completely. And I was like, this labor stuff is amazing. I'm gonna rock this out, no problem. And it went that way the whole day. I was able to walk through them, shower through them. I was talking to people. I was totally, it was okay. We just kind of hung out all day. And then a lot of people left, and I got to have a little dinner of broth and jello and popsicle, and I felt like that was a feast. I was like so excited. I hadn't eaten the day before because I was nervous about the appointment, and you can't eat when you're being induced because they don't know if they're gonna have to put you into a C-section. So I ate my feast, and they said, okay, let's do your second dose of Cytotec, and I was like, okay. And I still hadn't dilated, but I was having regular contractions, manageable contractions. And then they put the second dose of Cytotec in, and because, I mean, I had kind of champed through this whole thing all day, it wasn't a big deal. Joshua and his dad left for dinner. 15 minutes after they gave me the second dose of Cytotec, I had the contraction monitor on, and I started a strong contraction that did not stop for 2.5 hours. And like they showed the contraction monitor, right? So it was like a little line. Like, this is not a contraction. This is a little one, bigger one, bigger one, bigger. These were like they were like inches tall. They were big ones, and it never stopped. Like, this was a constant contraction I had. And tears were just streaming down my face. And Joshua's mom asked if I wanted her to go get him, and I said no, that he needed to have a few minutes of peace, because it was going to be, I'm like, at this point, I'm going to deliver like in a minute. That's not true. Those were just the beginning. So, and I knew what time they put it in. So, and the clock was right there. I knew I only had to lay flat for an hour. So I was watching that, and I was crying, and I was like, 45 minutes, I can do this. I just have 45 more minutes, 32 more minutes, 22 more minutes, 2 more minutes, 10 minutes. And when it got to time, I said, go get a nurse and tell her it's time for me to get up, that I need to get up. And they're like, sorry, we're in the middle of a nurse shift change. You can't get up. And I was just in despair. I was in so much pain. And so I said, okay, tell them I have to go to the bathroom. Because at this point, I really had to pee bad. And there was a lot of pressure. So they came in with a bedpan, and I was like, well, you're going to have to explain how I'm supposed to use that, because I've never seen one of those before. So that's humiliating, by the way. So I did that, and contraction was still there, still having to lay flat, still having to lay still. I've got lots of coping mechanisms. None of them involve laying flat and still. So I'm trying to breathe through them. Tears are just streaming down my face. I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm hot, I'm cold, I'm sweaty. I'm starting to shake violently from the trauma, and I was like, I'm sick, 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 I'm gonna throw up. And so on one side, Joshua's mom was holding a trash can. On the other side, Joshua was holding a trash can. At some point, my father-in-law had disappeared. I don't know where he went, because I was really kind of focused on myself at that point. And I had not called out. I had kept my promise to Harper. I had not called out. And I had never felt pain like this, ever. And so I was like, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick, I'm gonna get sick. At one point, I called out for a doctor that's not even my doctor, because I work with his wife, and I said, she will make him let me get up. They didn't get him, by the way. Anyway, so when I throw up, I don't just like throw up, I like throw up from the soul, like you can hear it like down the hall. So I start throwing up, and the quickest way to get the nurses to leave their shift change meeting is for them to hear you retching your soul out in your room. So in come all these people that I don't know and my nurse. And I am just throwing up, like I can't control it. It won't stop. And I was like, I want up, I want in the shower, and I want it now. And they were like, that's fine, that's fine. So I said, and I want new sheets. So, because I had been sweating, it was gross. So I got up to go get in the shower, and as I was getting up, they gave me a shot. They said, this will help for nausea. And I wish that I had had the wherewithal at that point to tell them that I wasn't nauseous, that it was pain, that I vomit when I am under stress or in a lot of pain. So like, I have PCOS, so I have really bad menstrual cycles. And if I'm having really, really bad cramps, I'll vomit from the pain if I can't get that pain under control. Anyway, so, or like I have cysts that burst. When a cyst bursts, I'll vomit for that too. But anyway, so I'm in the shower, and I'm like realizing I'm so screwed, because the pain's not going away at all. It's not even being relieved with the shower this time. So Joshua takes me to the shower, and he says, you sit in the chair. If you feel like you're going to throw up, I want you to throw up in the shower. I don't want you to get up. I'm going to be right here, or my mom's going to be right here. Don't get up. If you throw up, I'll go down the drain. You haven't had anything solid. It's not a big deal. And I was like, deal, whatever. And then he left me with his mom, who had not heard his directions. And so I said, will you please go get me some fresh towels from the room? And when she did, I scooted over to the toilet to vomit. But, you know, unfortunately, I'm a loud vomiter, and in come Joshua, and I was in trouble again. Let's see. He said at that point that he said, you're getting an epidural, and I said, that's fine. You know, I'm not getting, I had wanted a natural birth so bad. I had read every book. I had gone to the class. But the thing is, when you are working and you get nothing, who cares? Take the epidural. Knowing now that my insurance doesn't pay for the epidural, I might have thought about it twice, but even then I would have probably taken it because I was in so much pain. But anyway, so they took me back to the bed. But before you can get the epidural, you have to be on an IV for an hour. And I had not been on an IV because I had been doing so well and walking around and going to taking showers and doing whatever. So they go to do the IV, and at this point I'm so dehydrated and shaking. They can't find a vein. It takes them forever to find a vein. When they finally do, it's in my elbow right here. It still hurts a little. So that's uncomfortable. That hour that you have to wait between the IV and the epidural, I don't really remember, except that I curled up in a fetal position and I would rock from side to side and I cried. And I remember one time I hollered out and then I cried because I felt like I'd broken my promise to my baby. We tried to breathe through them, but it was a constant contraction. It was a contraction that never stopped. I had no break. For 2.5 hours, I had no break. And then when my good friend, the anesthesiologist, came in, and it was time to do the epidural, and I was curled over my pillow like you're supposed to be, the shaking was from trauma and hormones kicking in. So, and I was so cold. God, I was so cold. It took 2 nurses to hold me just from the shaking because I couldn't control that. And they finally got the epidural in, and I had a hot spot, and they had to kind of roll me around, and they couldn't get the shaking to stop. And the shaking, I was cold. It was hormones. I was scared. So I don't know how many blankets they put on me, but I had a lot of blankets. And they put this thing called the bear hug machine, which blows warm air in between your sheets to keep you really warm. And then the rest of that night was just kind of them taking blood pressure and checking, and I got a couple more doses of Cytotec. And then I will continue part 3 with what happened that day.